I'm Monica Ruth, and I think most of you know me, and I know you. But I'd just like to give you just a little bit of my background. My childhood, you'd probably say that my heritage is one of being a mutt. There's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but European. But predominantly, I was raised in an Irish Catholic family, dabbling with a little bit of the German and the Polish to throw that in. We weren't poor, but by all measures, you would probably say that we were lower middle class. My father worked, he was a carpenter. My mother was a stay-at-home housewife. And they were devout Catholics, and they both lived up to their Catholic duty or responsibility by sending all 4 of their children through 12 years of Catholic school, as compared to the free public school system. Life was simple. We had dinner every night together. The 6 of us sat around the same dining room table, and as long as I can remember, I sat in the same seat at that dining room table. And I don't remember choosing it. I don't remember it being delegated to me, but I know that that was my seat. So there was a tradition. There was the comfort of this is the routine. And whenever Mom would make the big chicken dinner, I always had the same piece. I was the second to the youngest, so my youngest sister and myself, we always had the leg. I just accepted it again, unquestioned acceptance. I didn't say, well, gee, tonight I really want that breast piece. It was just, that was my piece, and I just kind of accepted it. Hanging, and that's the first slide now, hanging on the dining room wall, I remember there always being, there was this plaque, and it has the Irish blessing on it. And so I think it came out pretty clear, is may the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of his hand. Feels good, doesn't it? It's kind of like a hug. But that, may the wind always be at your back. And that was just, again, kind of an unquestioned acceptance that the wind at your back is a good thing. The wind at your back is like an external force or an assistance moving you forward, propelling you onward in the direction that you want to go, moving on to success. And it's just kind of accepted that it's a good thing to have the wind at your back. Slide number 2. Well, a while back when I was letting my hair grow out, I have a haircut coming this Friday, but going from short to having it be longer, and the hairdresser was always encouraging me to let my hair grow out. Oh, it looks so good. And of course, when you leave the hairdresser, it looks perfect. But then the rest of the week, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so much work. I am fighting this hair all the time. And if I was doing anything, like I was doing the dishes or I was reading, the hair would just keep dropping in my face. And it was like, this is just getting to be annoying. And what good is it if I have to put clips in or wear a headband or, pull it back in a ponytail? It's like, what's the point of growing this hair out and I'm just pulling it back the whole time? The next slide. Then one day I went for a walk, and we know this area, close to the beach, and we get the nice ocean breezes blowing, and it was a sunny day, and I remember I went out for a walk and I was heading into the wind, and my hair was out of my face. And I go, this is glorious. I felt like that smile on her face. It was like, I don't have to work at it. I don't have to pull it back and put a hat on or a cap on while I go for a walk. I can just enjoy the sun on my face and getting this hair out on my face. So I was delighted to have it. And I know those of us who wear glasses, have you found at times, you're going along and then all of a sudden you take off your glasses and you go, oh my gosh. How could I even see? They're so smudged, they're so dirty, and it's like, you're quickly cleaning them. Well, it was kind of like this. I had to reconsider. It's like, well, is the wind at my back always a good thing? Because I'm having a lot of joy with it being out of my face. The next slide, please. So we can stubbornly hold to an unquestioned acceptance of something, The wind at your back is always a good thing. Well, the hair's in this person's face and the umbrella's blowing inside out. So there was, again, this kind of, let me stop and think. My husband likes to say always and never. It can never be always, always, or never, never. So it's like, is the wind always at your back a good thing? Or could it be the direction that I'm facing? A little nuance. Years ago, you might think it was a lifetime ago, I was in my early 30s, and I was a recently divorced, and I had a single mom. I had 2 young children. So I'm going to admit, you start thinking of things, well, how can I meet new people? How can I meet a new guy? And I signed up for a sailing class that was it was either Parks and Recreation or, I don't know, through Redondo Beach. And it was at the King Harbor. So it wasn't like you're out on the ocean. It's this little small 2-man boat, and you stayed within, the harbor there. And so while learning this new activity, I found it interesting that I was also learning a new language that went along with it. For instance, you didn't say the left side of the boat, it was port side. And you didn't say the right side of the boat, that was starboard. And the front of the boat was the bow, and the rear of the boat was the stern. And then there was the mast, that vertical flagpole that the sail hooks onto. And then the boom, which you wanted to watch, it didn't boom into your head as you were changing directions. Well, normally we would say that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. In fact, we'd say that the fastest way to get from point A to point B would be as the crow flies, direct, straight. But that's not the case in sailing. The next slide, please. In sailing, if you look at this slide, you can see that the wind is coming directly down from the top. And what the sailboat is doing to catch the speed, to harness the wind, to go the fastest, is you want to set the direction of the boat in a 45 to 90 degree angle to the wind. Some of you guys might be sailors and you know all of this. So what you're doing is, let's say right at the top where the wind is, that's Catalina, and I want to get to Catalina. Well, what I have to do to get there the fastest is I'm going to go on a tack or a zigzag in this direction for a certain period of time, and then I'm going to have to tack back in the other direction. So my way to get to Catalina is not in a straight line. In sailing, one of the other things that we practiced quite a bit was getting into irons and getting out of irons. Now, being in irons is that the boat is facing straight on. You're straight into the wind. And what happens is that the sail can't catch the wind. You can't harness the wind. And the sails will just start fluttering or luffing, they say, and you're dead in the water. You're stalled. You're going nowhere. You're trapped. You're in irons. So what we would do is when we would practice getting in and trying to harness the wind, you need to make a choice. You need to take action. You need to find a different approach. You need to turn the boat one way or the other until it starts catching the wind, and then the wind propels you forward. So the wind is a force of nature. We can't change the direction of the wind. But what we can do is we can change our approach to the wind. So I need to consider, am I taking advantage of the wind? Am I harnessing it to get me where I want to go, to my destination? Am I taking action to do something? Or am I just simply being a victim and just, oh, well, here I am. I'm stuck. What can I do? I have this life challenge. I have this obstacle. I have this wind that's fighting me. Excuse me. So I'm remaining in the same place. Now, I might be remaining in the same place out of ignorance. That I don't know. I don't know what I should do. I don't even know what I don't know type thing. Or I may be just stubborn. No, I'm digging my heels in. I'm staying here. I'm gonna make this work. So it's doing the same thing and expecting different results, but we aren't getting it. Those of us who are parents, I think we understand that our primary responsibility or our chief aim is to raise adult children who are capable of succeeding in life. That our goal is to produce these independent, self-sufficient adults so that they can make wise choices, that they can make wise decisions, and they can take the right action to prepare them for life circumstances. Our aim as parents is not to raise adults who are incapable of choosing, who are incapable of making the right choice for taking action, of being dependent on me as a parent to tell them what to do, to direct them every step of the way. If we were doing that, we would actually be doing a disservice for our children. We find that even in the animal kingdom, the mama bear, the mama lion, they keep the offspring close to them, they protect them, while the offspring are learning how to hunt, how to get food. If there's a threat, the bear has to learn to, scurry up a tree. But they keep them close and protect them only for so long, and it's usually under 2 years for both of them before they shoo them away. They will actually send them away, or they will abandon the offspring. They will leave. And that's time that young lion or that young bear needs to go off and take care of itself and survive. So if this is the role for the human parent, as well as for the bear and for the lion we see in the animal kingdom, why would we think that God would create us, this divine intelligence would create us to be helpless, to be dependent, to be incapable of making wise choices, unable to take the right action, that in the face of life challenges or difficulties, that we wouldn't be able to be wise enough to survive, to succeed in life. We learn in what Ernest Holmes has written in the Science of Mind textbook is that God needs an outlet. God needs an outlet to express itself more expansively, to express itself greatly. And we choose or set ourselves up to be willing outlets for God to use us. So again, how would it benefit God to need to or try to express itself if God was needing to express itself through an inadequate outlet, through a helpless channel or vessel? So if God's needing to use us, then it behooves us to be the best channel that we can possibly be. Ernest Holmes writes in the very beginning of the book, to suppose that the creative intelligence of the universe would create man in bondage and leave him bound would be to dishonor God. And a few pages later, Ernest Holmes says, the entire problem of limitation, evil, suffering, and uncertainty is not God ordained, but is the result of ignorance. Again, I don't know what I don't know. In Centers for Spiritual Living, they have monthly themes, and the theme in December was wholeness. And this was written by a minister in Colorado, Reverend Scott Aubrey. And what he said is, no matter the troubles we face, we always have infinite opportunities to see them rightly and to experience a healing. God gave us dominion over life, and we have dominion when we live life mindfully. Now, dominion is the right to govern, the right to rule, the right to determine, to choose. I have the right to rule the circumstances of my life instead of passively allowing the circumstances to rule me. Whenever we are going up against a life challenge or an obstacle, instead of fighting it head on, like in sailing, we're putting ourselves in irons. We're dead in the water. What if we adapt or we modify, we change our approach to the problem? I'm not saying abandon what we're doing. I'm just saying make an adjustment. Instead of that we keep doing what we're doing and we're expecting different results, but nothing's happening. So as in sailing, we need to take a different tack. If we are going somewhere, we have a destination that we want to get to at a certain time, we're driving our car, and on the way, we come to a detour. We cannot get through that way. Are we dead in the water? Are we insisting that this is the way I have to go? This is the only way I can go? No. We take the detour. We may not be happy about it, but we take the detour. It's kind of a roundabout way or a way of zigzagging, but it gets us to our eventual desired destination. Sometimes it's taking a little bit of a detour. It's not giving up when we have this life challenge or this issue facing us. I think most of you know that Mark and I, we facilitate a monthly spiritual discussion group. It's the first Thursday of every month, and it's in the afternoon. We meet in the foyer. Sometimes we tap into some information that Dr. Frank and Dr. Anita Richelieu, they were the senior ministers here before Dr. Moira, but they compiled a series of lessons, and what they were hoping to have people do was like small groups of 10 or so would get together in a study group, and they would take one of these lessons and then they would discuss it. And Mark and I have tapped into that our goal is to have a discussion, not to have a debate. Our goal is not that someone comes up with the right answer and that's it. But when we discuss different spiritual principles or different things that are happening in the world, how do we apply the teaching of science and mind in this situation? And it's easier. Sometimes when you go into the discussion, it helps you understand even better, why do I think that way? Or it could be, just like taking off the glasses, reassessing. Maybe you're taking a second look at something that you've just had this unquestioned acceptance of, and it may not be working for you any longer. It's not serving you to your highest good. But in one of the lessons, Dr. Frank wrote, "There is one universal law which brings forth the manifestation of our thoughts. To each of us is given the power of choice and motive. According to our choice and motive is the resultant action that we take. Is that action then constructive or destructive? Is the action that we take based on our choice and our motive, is the action that we take productive? Is it, is it life-affirming? Is it uplifting and moving us towards our greatest good? Or is the action that we take detrimental to our good? Is it depleting of our good?" He's telling us that there's one law. We determine which direction that law is flowing. Is that law flowing towards our good, towards abundance, towards prosperity? Is that the way we're thinking? Is that the choices that we're making? Or are we directing the law in the direction of lack and limitation, poverty? I never, it always goes bad for me. My choices always are wrong. It's the same law, but it's our choice and our motive which way that law is flowing. In Living the Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes wrote, "There is nothing in the universe which opposes our good except our misuse of the law." Again, the misuse of the law might be due to ignorance. Someone has never been exposed to it's just God's will. They just accept it. It didn't go right. They don't even know that you can harness the wind, that you can make a decision, you can make a choice that's different than the direction you're going, that you can, with skill, with practice, with competence, you can direct the law to create a life that's better for you. And we've said that often in this teaching. Don't take my word for it, test it out. Put it into practice, try it. So again, is the wind or the life challenge the real problem, or is it the direction that I'm facing? How do I see it? Do I take dominion over it, or am I allowing it to have dominion over me? It's that we've heard that time and again, is the glass of water. Is it half full or is it half empty? Which way are we looking at it? How do we see it? It's the same 4 ounces of water in that 8-ounce glass. It's the same set of circumstances for one person as the other, but which way are we viewing it? Are we the victim? Are we helpless? It's like, oh, well, I'm dead in the water. Or do we realize, well, this isn't working. I need to make a choice. There's something different, a different approach that I need to take. Recently, I think it was a couple Sundays ago, Reverend Catherine was sharing. Her topic was generosity. And she was shared something that happened to her in the past where she was very busy. She was engaged to something, and she was walking through the center of the hall, wherever. And she, these are my words, not hers, she got called out by someone who took her aside and said to her, you're ignoring people. You're not paying attention to people as you're going through. You need to look up. You need to address these people. You need to, greet them. And Reverend Catherine said that she was thankful for this, that she felt this person was generously sharing this bit of advice with her. And I was smiling to myself, and I thought, you've got to be kidding me, because something very similar happened in my life, and I took it completely differently. I just thought, oh my gosh, I was looking at those 4 ounces of water, and I was seeing them in a completely different way. I saw, when it happened to me, as unsolicited criticism. It was more like a hand slapping or an unwanted reprimand. I don't know, I think most of us have seen or know of the movie. It's over 30 years old, Pretty Woman. And so it's the story of a woman who's, in a different, let's say she's a streetwalker. So Julia Roberts is playing the main character. And so in this movie, the main character, Richard Gere, is going to take her, she needs to join him to go to a really, really fancy restaurant for a dinner. It's going to be a business meeting with clients. So it's this elegant French restaurant. And by all appearances, she looks like she fits in, she belongs. She's in a beautiful, the little black dress, and she's carrying herself off, her hair's done. So you would think she fits in. But we find out quickly in this movie that she is out of her comfort zone, and she is in way over her head as they start serving the courses, and she's just like blown away by all the setting at the table, this fine restaurant. And it's like, which piece of silverware do I use now? And, the whole thing is that at one point, she's like, I was expecting the salad. She was all set. She knew where the salad fork was, but they received something and she didn't know what to do, and she's watching the other guy, and he's actually picking it up, the little, eating, using his hand. But I think most of us can kind of identify with this character, that there's some point in our life, in our growth experience, where we attempted to carry ourselves off as something that we didn't really feel we were yet. We might have been attempting to be that and become that, but we hadn't got there just yet. We didn't quite feel like we belonged. Well, this, in our past, this was a milestone birthday for me, and Mark and I, we were going on a European cruise to celebrate, and another couple was joining us, and you have the fine dining setting. This was over 20 years ago on this cruise ship. And the other couple, the woman, at one point when I was finished, I received some what I called unsolicited advice or instruction from her as to what the correct placement of the napkin was when you were finished eating. And I hadn't done it. So I felt offended. I was resentful that she chose that moment in time to call me out. This is my birthday cruise. So I shared with you earlier, in my childhood, we had a simple upbringing. We didn't have the butter knife at the dinner table, and we didn't have cloth napkins, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but that wasn't the way I was raised. So to me, I was finished, and I simply took the napkin and folded it and put it on the table. And she's telling me, you don't fold it, you put it on the table there like that so they know you're done. And it's like, okay, so did I view this as generous sharing? Or did I view this more as a hand slapping? I don't know if we remember, Dr. Frank used to, quite often he would talk about Aunt Sophie when Dr. Frank would have his talks. And Aunt Sophie was that character, that pesky relative who could get under your skin. Whenever there were family gatherings, seemed like she knew what to say or what to do to just, it's like, why is this thorn in my side? And some people feel that it's their duty to set other people straight. Some people feel that they're doing you a favor by enlightening you and bringing you up. We can't change them, right? Just like we can't change the wind. We can only change our response. What is our approach? Someone asked Dr. Frank, well, what are you supposed to do when Aunt Sophie keeps triggering you by pressing your sensitive buttons? And his answer was, change your buttons. It's what I have to do. It's how I handle it. So we're right back to going, which way is the wind blowing? Do I really want to head straight into that wind? Do I want to take this on? Is that really my best action, my best choice? Or are my life sails going to be fluttering? I'm not really harnessing the wind. I'm not getting where I wanted to go. Just like in sailing, I'm putting myself in irons. It's not the most skilled way to get to my desired destination. So that episode on the cruise ship, do I view that experience differently today? Yeah, I do. Am I grateful for her generous, unsolicited sharing? No, I'm not. I told Reverend Catherine, and that's why you're a minister, and I'm not. But I'm going to tell you, I could get invited to the palace, the queen, the king, whoever's there now, and I know where to put that napkin. I feel confident. So just like in that sailing class that I took years ago, and we practiced getting in irons and we practiced getting out of irons, we didn't just simply stop being in irons. It's like, I'm just going to wait here. I'm going to wait for the wind direction to change. No, we made a choice. We had to choose to take some corrective action. So today, when I'm stalled or I'm stuck in the headwind of some life challenge, is there a spiritual practice that I can use? Is there something that works for me, whether that is a spiritual mind treatment, whether that is forgiveness work, whether that is affirmations or journaling, or maybe it's just going for a walk in nature. But have I found that spiritual practice that I can tap into that's going to get me out of irons? Can we see the last slide, please? Isn't that beautiful? So, with all the tools and the spiritual practices that we have in this teaching, that we have available at our fingertips, how well are we harnessing the challenge of the wind? How full is our sail? Thank you. So now, oh, hello. We have our time of sharing, our opportunity. Where's mine? So if you have, okay? Oh, go ahead. All right. If you have your gift, if we could say together, divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, to bless, and to prosper. All those who give and all those who share. I release in the sharing of my good, and I release my gift with love. So it is. Thanks, babe. See? I can't wait till Friday. All right, I think this is our time. Does anyone have a comment, a question, something we can discuss, or perhaps I can shed some light on?
Your napkin story, I went through exactly the same in France. I folded mine nicely, put it next to the plate.
I'm having difficulty hearing.
Oh,
I think he's turning it up. You're using the mic, but I'm having difficulty hearing you. Yeah, I know you have. Okay. Let's try it again. You have what?
The napkin story, I went through exactly the same in France. And I was a bit embarrassed. I folded mine kind of nicely and put it next to the plate. And it was the boyfriend I had told, you just drop it on the plate.
I know, but it doesn't seem right.
I know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went through
I didn't iron it. I didn't press it. It was just like, I just kind of and set it there. But it's like, no. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But that bothered her enough that she called me out on it.
Yep.
Right then
Same
and right
here.
there.
Same here from a boyfriend.
The napkin is a popular story. I have this best girlfriend, and we went on a cruise. We went to London, and after every meal, she would just wrinkle up her napkin and throw it on the plate. I thought, why is she doing that? It's really bothering me. And I would fold mine and put it neatly beside my plate, thinking I was the better. I guess not.
I know. It made sense to me, but what do I know?
We have a quick question from online. Sydney Glass asks, Monica, do you think the woman on your birthday cruise was your teacher?
No, I know for a fact. She's an engineer. And they know exactly what you're supposed to do and when to do it and how to do it. So.
You know, I just have to say, I've been sailing to Catalina before I was born in my mom's belly, and you did a great job with everything, but just regarding the sailing, your whole thing was incredible.
Oh, I got the sailing right?
No, yeah, you did a great job,
Oh.
but it wasn't just that I appreciate, the sailing part, because I've been sailing since before I was born, but your whole presentation was fantastic.
Oh, I appreciate that, thanks. I was going to say, it was a long time ago, and I didn't carry on. Well, my husband can't stand, he can't stand the water. So I didn't continue the sailing, but I didn't have to because I met him in another way and wasn't on a sailboat. It was on the dance floor. So, but it was, they talk about, you want to meet a guy, go golf. I was in Home Depot last week. I said, wow, this is where you should really come if you want to meet a guy. Is just go up and down the aisles in Home Depot. But that was my motive. Anyone else? Does anyone have a question? We're all going to take sailing lessons now. I know Dr. Frank was a big sailor. He always talked about going out on the boat and everything. So.
Yeah, well, if you want to learn, come talk to me. I'll set you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. But it's fun. You can get some speed. Wow. I mean, you just think when you're just under the harnessing the wind and not using the motor or anything like that. It's like, wow, you can get some real speed.
Oh, yeah, I was doing like 36 knots when I was 17, and now they have a thing that you could look up online called Sail GP, which is Sail Grand Prix, and the boats are going freeway speeds. Like my son worked with them in Auckland, for a number of years. Well, my son was the best sailor in actually all of New Zealand and Australia, which is kind of weird because he was California pump kid from here. Because he was one of the top high school sailors, him and another guy got, just to go work for Sail GP for a couple of years. And,
What a nice life experience. That sounds.
Oh, yeah, my kids, worked for, well, we had our yacht club down here, but they also got to sail at a Cal Yacht Club. So they were sailing out all around the world at very young ages. And I'd go to the airport to drop them off and stuff, and people are going everywhere. And I'd be all nervous and anxious. Dad, get out of my way. My bags, they're not on. So they'd have their bags shipped there and there. I mean, they were amazing.
It's exciting.
Well, that was kind of what we were trying to teach, is that we got into a program that, we used to teach in kind of a fishbowl of a boat that just was born in Long Beach, right? And then we adopted a boat that was worldwide, so the kids would always be learning to think worldwide.
Yeah.
And their concepts and, where they can go, what they can do.
In that split second, they have to make the right decision, too. Thank you. All right. We have time, right? Any special prayer requests? Is everybody okay? Life is good for everyone you know?
Prayer request for this world, because it's in a giant turmoil. Fix it all.
Pardon me?
So can you just fix it all?
Yeah, well, Dr. Moyer would talk about the labor pains before childbirth. Is that what's going on? That we're kind of experiencing labor pains before the new birth, the new order? But yeah, I think that we can definitely we can be the win and help it along. So, sure. Anyone else? Sir, a prayer for the world and all of us in it. Okay. All right. So when I just take that moment to still myself and just turn my attention away from everything that's going on around me, the busyness, and not labeling it good, bad, or indifferent, just go within and go into that silence and that stillness and that profound sense of peace. And know that this is the nature of God. And the nature of God and the will of God are one and the same. And God's nature is peace and love and harmony and wisdom. And knowing that I can call upon that, I can tap into all that is good, all that is grand, all that is God. Being created in the image and likeness of the divine, I create my life on a smaller degree, but the same as God creates life itself. I tap into it. I set my intention. I choose wisely what it is I wish to see, what it is I wish to experience, what it is I wish to be. I select it, I determine that it is the greatest good, and I act upon it. I declare it. I speak my word for peace, for love, for harmony, for good will. No matter the differences, no matter the variety of expression that life holds, I declare that good and good alone is made manifest. That there is something higher and greater and more powerful than human ego. I lift myself up, and all that I declare, the good that I declare for myself, I know and I declare for each and every person in this world. That there is greater love, that there is greater peace, that there is greater tolerance for the differences, that there is greater freedom of expression, and that those in power are influenced by this love and this harmony and this joy and goodwill, that those in power are influenced to make wiser decisions, better choices, engage in humanitarian behavior. And I know that there is a power for good. It is available to each one of us. And I can and I do tap into it. I direct it. I select the direction for this law of good to flow. So I live up to my potential. I show up, being a demonstration of all that is good and all that is God. I am thankful for each and every opportunity, each and every day that I have to be present to another human being, to be there, to be love. So declaring that this is so, it's always so in the spiritual realm before it is fleshed out and takes shape and form in the material realm. So knowing that the word I declare is already so, with gratitude, with love, and with delightful expectation to see this now, I let go of this. It is not the little me that does this. It is the greater good, it is the greater power of God that does this, knows how to do it in the most divine, intelligent way. And I expect it, I delight in seeing it take form, and I declare, and so it is. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.